Hi, I'm Chef Gail Sokol and welcome to my kitchen. Today we are making Christmas cheesecake bites. Now, if you don't want to make a whole cheesecake, you know, the holidays coming up and there's a lot of different celebrations throughout the year. It doesn't have to be just for Christmas. It could be for Hanukkah, it could be for Kwanzaa, it could be for a birthday, it could be for celebrating Harry Potter, because the reason I'm mentioning that is we're talking colors. And we won't get into the colors of our cheesecake till a little later on. So what we're going to do is make a small 8-inch square cheesecake that we can cut into little bites. And you can serve them in a little dessert platter. Very simple. You don't have to make the big, heavy cheesecake. This is sort of light and delicious. Now, before I get started, I need you to become a subscriber, and I need you to click that notification button, because I want to have all you guys join me for all my recipes and tips. You don't want to miss any of them because they are awesome. Awesome, awesome. So the first thing we're going to do, we have to make the crust, and the crust is super easy. It's just 1 1/3 cups of crushed up graham cracker crumbs. If you want to use another type of cookie, you can use anything you want. You're going to preheat your oven to 375 degrees Fahrenheit. That's just to bake off the crust and get it a little toasty before we get our filling in. So my oven's already preheated to 375. I have the 1 1/3 cups of graham cracker crumbs. I'm going to put in 4 tablespoons of granulated sugar, and I want to mix that very well before I add my melted butter. The melted butter is going to get everything cohesive. And we're going to get what I like to call wet sand. It's going to look like wet sand, like we're at the beach, and we're going to have wet sand. So once that's in there, you're going to take 5 1/2 tablespoons of melted unsalted butter, and you're going to put it in here, and you're just going to mix it up. It's going to look like there's not enough, but there is enough, because again, you only want like a wet sand consistency. You don't want it really doused. You just want to get those crumbs to hold together. Now, in the meantime, I have prepped my pan. I've taken an 8-inch square pan. Could be metal, could be glass. And you're going to just make sure, this is Pyrex, so just make sure it's, heat proof. And I sprayed it with nonstick cooking spray. And then I put a strip of parchment paper. And then I sprayed it again, because I want this cheesecake to come out. And we're going to cut it into little tiny cubes and serve it to our guests. Or you can eat it all yourself. It's up to you, whatever you want to do. So you can see I got this nice consistency, sort of wet, heavy crumbs, right? All right, and now we're going to put them right into our pan. Just dump them all in the pan. Don't miss out on any of them. And I'm going to sort of scatter them around. All right, evenly. And you may put them up maybe 1/4 inch, 1/2 inch up the sides. But I like a nice thick crust. Now I have a dry, solid measuring cup. You can even use the bottom of a glass. I want to get all this out. You don't want to grease it or anything. The reason I'm using this is it's going to tamp down my crust, because a crust that is firm is a crust that will keep its shape. Trust me on this, folks, okay? I do this all the time. A crust that is tamped down will actually keep its shape in the oven. So I'm pushing, and I want to show you what I'm doing. I'm pushing so that you can see a little bit goes up the sides, okay? Just a little bit goes up the sides. And I like a nice thick crust. You know everything about Chef Gail now. I like cheesecake, and I like a nice thick crust. And this is a plain cheesecake with vanilla in it, pure vanilla extract, but we're going to sort of floof it up a little bit, make it a little bit more fancy schmancy for the holiday. And like I said, it can have any holiday theme you want, depending on the colors you want. Okay, so I'm going to go now that I'm all tamped down and up the sides, I'm going to go put this in the oven for about 10 minutes, and then I'm going to let it cool. All right, so my crust is out of the oven, and it has almost cooled, and now we're ready to make our beautiful smooth filling. So in my electric mixing bowl, I have 2 8-ounce packages of softened cream cheese. And I'm going to add 1 cup of granulated sugar. And now we're going to use that sugar sort of like a sandpaper. And with our paddle attachment, we are going to cream, but not to turn, not like when we're doing a cake or a cookie, but we're actually going to use that granulated sugar granules, those crystals, to push into our cream cheese and smooth it out. And I'm just going to let that go for a little bit. You always want to have a rubber spatula handy. Make sure during this process you have that is the key to a smooth cheesecake, is you must have a rubber spatula. Or it could look like this. Doesn't matter. It could be any type of rubber spatula. So once you see that it has sort of softened and mashed against the side of the bowl, you're going to push it down, okay? So you can see this. See how nice and smooth it looks? But looks can be deceiving. There could be a little bit of granular sugar in there. So you want to make sure you really get it all granular. Now, if your cream cheese is not at room temperature, you're not going to have a really smooth cheesecake. All right, so we do have it nice and smooth right now. I'm going to give it a little bit of another go around. And then we're going to add a 1/4 cup of yogurt. And this is fully fatted yogurt. And I'm going to add that under low speed. Just get that in there. All right, 1/4 cup. Get that in there. And now I have cracked 3 large whole eggs in a liquid measuring cup, and I'm adding our beautiful vanilla flavor. 2 teaspoons of pure vanilla extract. Yeah, that's big flavor for this little cheesecake. That's what we want. So I've added the vanilla right to the eggs, and now this is the key to a light cheesecake. Add 1 egg and stop. Let that blend in, let that get fully blended in, and we're going to stop, and we're actually going to scrape down the sides again. If you don't do this, you may have some lumps and bumps in your cheesecake, and take it from somebody who has, made a lot of cheesecakes, but also knows that, I've made my own mistakes, so we're all human, and when I was before culinary school and even after culinary school, you learn what is good and what is bad and what works and what doesn't work. So we're going to go all the way around. And once this is in, you're going to add a 2nd egg with the vanilla. All right? Because once it's more of a liquid consistency, if you have any lumps, the chance of them getting beaten in is little to none. So do it now. Do it when the batter's thicker, okay? So while this is actually getting nice and beaten in, it already is, I'm going to add my last egg and vanilla. I'm getting 2 small bowls. This is where the fun comes in. And I'm going to beat this, and I'm going to get our paddle out. Okay. Oh, I'm going to move this out of the way and just stir it around. All right, so you have, and it's liquidy batter. That's what it's supposed to be, liquidy batter, okay? You're just going to move it around. And I'm going to take 2 tablespoons and put 2 tablespoons in a little bowl and another 2 tablespoons for a total of 4 tablespoons, 2 and 2. And in here, I have green food coloring, gel food coloring, as much as you want. And remember, this is a Christmas-themed cheesecake. It doesn't have to be. You could do blue. You could do Gryffindor colors for all you care. Whatever the theme of your little get-together is, do it. If you're having a wedding, do it in your wedding colors. So I have a little bit of red gel in one, a little bit of green in the other. So I'm going to take 1 tablespoon to go in here and another tablespoon to go in here. All right. And we're going to mix that up, and that's going to turn green. And then we're going to do another one, 2 tablespoons. And the remainder is going to go into our crust. All right. So before I pour it into my crust, I'm going to mix. All right, nice, nice. And I want to get it all out. So I always have an extra spoon around just to push off any color that got caught up in there. Make sure you get all around. Okay. Then we're going to do the other one. Keep your spoons separate, 2 separate spoons, 2 separate colors. You don't want any intermingling of the colors because you will get a different color. So make sure you do that. Oh, that's a nice green. Nice green. All right. Now what I'm doing is I have 2 pastry bags, of which I have a little plain tip on the bottom. If you don't have a tip, just cut a little hole off the bottom of your pastry tip. You can even use a freezer bag and just cut the corner. Don't cut the corner yet if you're using a freezer bag though. I put a twist tie on the bottom so it won't leak out because this batter is thinner than frosting would be if you were using frosting. And I've done this 2 times. Okay. I'm going to put the green in one. The green is going to go in one because this is a thinner batter. All right. And you can even use a little more batter if you wanted to, if you had a little bit more of a design that you wanted to do. But we're just going to make it simple. And I'm going to put the red in the other pastry bag. All right. And then we're going to decorate our cheesecake. And the pattern is going to bake into it. It's awesome. All right. So I'm going to get my cheesecake crust. And I'm going to pour it in. Pour it in. All right. Get that all in there. And you know, cheesecake is a custard. It's actually a custard cake or a custard, almost like a custard pie. And that's what it really, really is. It's really not a cake. It's thickened with eggs. So if anyone asks you, what type of cake is a cheesecake? It's really not a cake, but it is a custard. So little free info there. So I'm going to move this around my crust. It doesn't have to come all the way around the crust. Now I'm going to take my red and I'm going to let the flood begin, and I'm going to make lines. You can do whatever you want, but I'm going to push it up, make sure it doesn't leak back. All right. And I'm just going to make as many lines as I can. It may not make as many, but I'm going to just make a line. Stop. Save a little space, maybe an inch or 2. Go like that. And you can do whatever you want, but watch this. Okay, so we're done with that one. Then we're going to do the green. This is so much fun. I love doing this. I love doing this. My family comes home and says, Mom, ooh, what's for dinner? And I don't know because I'm doing this all day long. So I'm going to do the green in between. We had a little explosion before, but that's okay. I'm going to do in between. Now, you can do whatever pattern you want, but I have a dowel rod, and this is what I'm going to do. So I'm going to do, see this? I like doing that. And just go around and do whatever you want. You can even make like a plaid. All right. Do whatever you want. Just making it festive so everyone gets a little swirl in their cheesecake bite. Go easy when you're near the crust because it's a little thinner there. And now we are going to be baking this. We're going to lower the temperature of our oven to 325 degrees. It's going to bake between 30 and 40 minutes. It might be slightly jiggly in the middle. This is what cheesecake is, but on the outside it should be relatively firm. But if it's a little jiggly in the center, don't worry. Take it out. Carryover cooking will finish the rest. So my Christmas cheesecake bites came out of the oven. I let them chill thoroughly in the pan, and then I cut them into little cubes, and they're gorgeous. So I just grabbed each piece of the parchment that was sticking out of the sides of the pan, and I cut around the part that didn't have the parchment and just lifted it up, but it's got to be chilled. And then in order to cut them, I have a glass of very hot water. I'm dipping a very sharp knife, wiping it off on paper towel before I cut each little bite. And they are awesome and amazing, and they will decorate any of your beautiful holiday plates. Make them any color you want. Merry Christmas, happy holidays. I hope you become a subscriber. Till next time.